What do I want? It's a question that everyone eventually has to ask themselves. The key motivator for every action taken. The cause behind every effect. So, what do I want? I want to go to a sporting event in every major venue. I want to grow within my relationships with my friends and my family. I want the freedom to create without the fear of failure. I want to dream without being hindered by reality. I want to chase new passions, new experiences, and new goals. I want OldMilk to branch out of the box and try new things. I'm accomplishing some of these goals right now, and I know what I need to do to achieve the rest of them. However, the one thing you should take away from this commercial is, I want you to buy OldMilk merch. I am completely flabbergasted by what I witnessed watching the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, let me know what happened. I didn't see anything this morning.
So the Ravens were up, I want to say 20-3, and it got cut to 20-10 at halftime. Then the Ravens couldn't really move the ball much. Lamar had some good throws, but they just weren't caught. He also had some bad throws. He had one pick. He had two picks for the game. One pick I didn't see. The second one came in the closing seconds of the game on a 4th and goal when there's like 2 minutes left. And me being the all-knowing football IQ guy is saying take the points the whole time. And while I see how it developed, how the play was developing, and how Lamar probably could have made a better throw, you could have prevented, as John Harbaugh, by taking the points, knowing that you have the best kicker of all time. You could have, one, prevented a Lamar INT, and two, you could have put more pressure on the Buffalo Bills, who, aside from a few seconds or a few drives in the second half, weren't really doing much with the offense in the first place. So the fact they lose by 3 points is infuriating to me, when you could have just took the 3 points and not had this, like, you could have had the game more in your control. And I don't understand this whole analytical driven, I don't care what situation it is, 4th and goal in the first quarter or 4th and goal with a minute left, we're going for it and we're going to score this touchdown. It's like, what happened to the whole concept of great is the enemy of the good here?
I feel like analytics would tell you the opposite. I feel like analytics would tell you to take the field goal. I feel like that call is more of this is football, brother.
Yeah. I mean,
this is like, I see both sides of it. Because there's like, you have Justin Tucker, but also it's like, I feel pretty good. Even though like the result at this point, like I feel pretty good. 4th and goal with the ball in Lamar's hands. Yeah. Even like considering the result, like if the same thing happened next week, it depending on the situation, but I'd still be like, yeah, fuck it. Like you are one of the 4 or 5 best players in the NFL. Like, I'm going down with, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going down with you, like however it goes.
Like I feel that. I'm just saying, like, well, first of all, the reason why the analytics will technically agree with the idea of going 4th and goal is because before it was looked upon as you should never do this ever. Like the chances of you converting this are very slim. Don't do this. Okay. And now the chances are like 50-50, which are significant. Like it's still not a slam dunk, but it's significantly higher than what it was expected to be or what it was thought to be. So that's why the analytics are on the side of trying to score the touchdown. And I get what you mean with the whole Lamar Jackson is one of the best players in the world, one of the best players we've ever seen, et cetera, et cetera. I call him the GOAT, like, obviously. And you kind of trolled me a little bit, talk about, whenever you're done watching the GOAT losing, we could record this, which is really funny.
Oh, I mean, he's won, besides his MVP, he has won nothing and is not on any sort of GOAT track. Great football player. No, really, he hasn't, though. He has taken no steps towards being the greatest of all time.
Have you seen the team around him the whole time?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, if we're just not going to be able to come to a common ground to begin this discussion, then I guess I'm just going to punt it, or kick
Tom
it
Brady won.
like the
Tom Brady won a
Ravens.
unanimous MVP with Deion Branch as his number one. I don't ever want to
Bill
hear it.
is it even remotely plausible for me to include John Harbaugh in the same sentence as Bill Belichick?
Yeah, John Harbaugh's got what? He got a ring. He's got 15 years of NFL experience. Like I don't want to. Lamar's an MVP. He
It's
threw
two
it. He
different.
threw a pick. It is what it is.
It's two different conversations. No one's ever gonna say like.
Yikes.
No one's ever gonna say John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is comparable to Bill Belichick. Nobody's gonna say that. And I like John Harbaugh. He seems like a good locker room guy, but sometimes his thought process is questionable a lot of the time. And sometimes it works out for him, and sometimes it doesn't, like today. But I just think that you have to take the points
just
there.
just win something first. Just,
okay. Okay. I can't
at some point,
yo.
hey, he's great. He is one of the
Mac
most
is
talented football players I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
I don't. We're not talking about Mac Jones.
I'm just saying that the cliff is coming, and you guys are gonna have a whole
What
period of
cliff?
suffering.
It's not a cliff. It's just a
No,
slow
it's
roll down a hillside, and it
no,
has been for 3 years now. It's like
no.
it's like a real pathetic. Like, oh, and they got up last year, and you thought they were gonna turn and walk back up the hill, and then all of a sudden they fell down again. It's like the cliff.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad it's
or
gonna happen. I'm glad it's happening.
my favorite about the cliff is that it wasn't like there was 6 Super Bowls in our lifetime.
No, I mean they're what? That's why it's a cliff. Like you guys are so it's almost expected that you guys make the playoffs each year, and then you don't. It's like
Yeah, but it wasn't. They had 20 years of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick together, and that's the only good period in Patriots history.
That's basically what is that like? Aside from 4 years, that's basically your whole life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I fully agree.
So that
we're on the same page.
It's a clip, at least to you. Like,
hey, they had a COVID year. They went 7-9. That is what it is. Made the playoffs, and then this year Matt got hurt. It is like it's just a slow.
How long is he out for?
He seemed to be like out for a while, and Bill Belichick's like that. Give you like 2 to 3 days to get you back out there. And he was like, yeah, like, and Mac's like, I'm hurt. And Bill's like, we'll see how hurt you are.
Day to day.
He's like, we got the best medical care in the world right here in Boston, Mac.
Yep.
Young McCorkle.
Did you see the press conference where they were like, so is it a high ankle sprain? And he's like, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an orthopedic person or whatever day to day. And they were like, well, the doctors talk to you. He's like, well, I'm not them. So
yeah,
typical.
Hey, he's not wrong.
That's a man that takes do your job literally, like literally. And this whole thing about quiet quitting or whatever like that, Bill Belichick was the first quiet quitter. Let's be honest, the first one to just meet the requirements of the job.
He wrote his resignation to the Jets after like a day on a napkin.
I mean, have you seen that organization? Sorry.
Hey,
I wouldn't want to be there either.
Smart guy. You know where I do want to be though?
Where?
LA.
Yeah, no, LA is nice. You know, they got they have a really good football team. They also have really good rappers. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, YG. Have you heard of him?
I have.
Oh wow. See, you know, this is the Cat Podcast, episode 321. I am your host, Nate Sproul, with my co-host Taylor McLeod. Thank you for watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Not now, but at some point, or now. Honestly, it's up to you. It's up to your discretion. Like whenever, we'll just be like, thank you. We'll take the thank you now. You can put it in your pocket. And then when you hit the button, then you can be like, all right, cool. We did this. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. And check out the OldMilk Spins playlist on Spotify and YouTube. And check out all the OldMilk content on oldmilk.co. That being said, Taylor, how are you doing today?
Really can't complain. Still kind of hot out here, which it is what it is. It's not it's not triple digits or anything. We're still hovering around 80, but I guess that's what I get for moving to California, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you move to California, you're expecting cold weather. I don't really know what to say to you, I guess.
No, we had like 2 weeks of real fall in like early September, and then it was like
real fall. That was false fall. That's what that was.
I like that false fall.
Yeah, false fall. You know, I mean, you know, since it's YG, one of the best West Coast rappers, we gotta kind of try our best here.
I agree.
You know, like we're talking about YG. I got issues. Everybody got issues, but in this situation, YG is the one with issues. 14 tracks long, 49 minutes long as well, featuring Mozzie, D3 Season, Dookie, Kuko. If I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, but you did really good on your feature. So there's that. J. Cole, Moneybagg Yo, Her, Roddy Rich, Post Malone, and Nas. Taylor, what did you think about YG's I Got Issues?
This is a really, really good album. And that's kind of like a basic assessment of things, but it is like YG always puts out really good music, and he's been doing it for a really long time. So it's not a surprise, but where hip hop used to be super regional and there was a distinct sound to everybody, it's not so much like that anymore. Like everybody knows where everyone's from still, but it's like you move to Miami, you move to Atlanta, or you move to LA. Pretty much at this point, that's kind of what it feels like. Like all the rappers move to one of those cities, and then the sound kind of gets all things sound a little bit more generic when that happens. But YG has the distinct advantage of being from LA, which was one of the, 4 or 5 like pioneer cities for this genre. And he is still very much able to hold on to that sound, that LA sound, that classic LA sound. Like I think the first half of this album really, really sounds like a quintessential like Los Angeles album, but he's just so talented that he's able to take these influences from other places and really like create a full project. So it's like a 2022 LA album, and not like an artist who lives in LA album. Like it's like an artist who's from there and you can hear it, which
Yeah.
is obviously all we could ever ask for from a lot of these artists nowadays.
Yeah, I want to start off by, I guess, apologizing to YG because I had no expectations for this album at all, and I enjoyed this album way more than I expected to. I don't even know why I didn't have any expectations for him. I think it's because, well, he's not really a rapper that's really visible. He's really more of a, like, he's visible from here and there, but like you kind of forget about him because he kind of releases his great music and leaves, similar to other artists, but he's just not on the level of like a Kendrick or a Drake who can do that, or even a J. Cole who can do that and is consistently going to be on the minds of everybody. But he's definitely a step below. Like he has classics. He has anything that you would consider successful for a hip hop artist, who's been in the game for 10 plus years. YG has. So yeah, I just want to start off by saying this album is really good. Might be my favorite album from all the releases that I've heard so far. As Taylor said, the heavy um Los Angeles feel to the album. Like YG isn't in a rapper who has um tried to search out or seek out a new sound. He's just continuously stayed in his lane, and when he has needed to, he's evolved with his sound and continued to do that over and over again. And this album is no different. Um, I also like I think the one thing that kind of makes this album, that gives this album its streak of LA-ness, if you will, is, aside from the lyrics or aside from YG's rapping, it's the little moments of Latinx influence in the beats, like the
For sure.
trumpets and having Dookie and Kuko on a song, and having, I forget which one, but one of them has their verse in Spanish, like having that influence to respect not just hip hop culture in LA or in that region, but just all the culture, like the rich culture of music that is known to be from that region, um, which I really appreciated. I enjoyed that. Additionally, I really love YG. Again, is one of the best rappers of our lifetime, and he doesn't really get the credit he deserves. Um, and I think it's shown multiple times on, based on the lyrics that he has, that he just like randomly says, like on Maniac, he's like, the way I mac hoes, I should be sponsored by Apple. Come on, that's a bar. Walking best dressed, I ain't no Kid Cudi. Come on Scared Money, that's a bar. Found out she couldn't sing without auto tune, had to leave her. That's not a bar, but it's just funny. um, what else do we have here? We have, oh, and also the way that he kind of flips old time hip hop legendary songs, like he did on what's the song called? Drink to This. He flips the whole fuck your bitch in the click you claim. I'm a West Side Rider, come equipped with flame. Obviously, that's a flip on the probably the most infamous Tupac line of all time, on Hit 'Em Up. And additionally, he pays homage to Jay-Z with a song as I'm looking for through my notes on No Love. He pays homage to that with Heart of the City, kind of mimicking or kind of interpolating that hook into his hook on this 2022 song. Um, Also, additionally, I think from Scared Money, I think Scared Money is where the album really starts to shine, and all the way to the end, it's like what the Mavericks did to the Suns in Game 7. Like it's just
Yeah.
there's no competition there at all. Um, Overall, like I could keep going and going. I think one more line that I have to point out before I hand it back to you, Taylor, is on Killer Cali. Um, the way that he's referencing all the tragedy all the hip hop tragedy specifically that happens in the West Coast, where he's like, from the city where legends get haloed in Los Angeles, we lost angels. Like that's a bar too. So overall, the bars are Teflon, the verses are Teflon. Also, the musicality that he shows, his ability to carry a song, to have Roddy Ricch and Post Malone on a melodic track and be the melodic presence on the hook, and
Yeah.
nobody question it, is really impressive as well. So overall, this is just another step for one of the greatest artists of the 2010s.
Yeah, and I think YG, he's not an underground legend because he's not underground. You know what I
No.
mean? Like he's had enough songs that are big enough where it's like this is not an underground artist, but like he's a real legend. Like in this, in legend doesn't have to be Hove. It doesn't have to be Kendrick. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this like whatever thing. This album, I think the first 6 songs until Scared Money, like we were saying, I think those 6 songs are start out like a real like celebration of YG.
Yeah.
They're not like he's not like barring up. It's not the most like lyrical songs in the world, but there's that LA bounce, like you said, that musicality, and you're like, all right, I can get into this, and it's like you're enjoying listening to it, and you're invested enough at that point and then from 7 on, it's like he's really rapping in a way that I I can't remember. Like there's moments on every project, but I can't remember this long of a stretch on a project where like the whole back half is really him just like rapping. And to hear him not so much like it's not a reliance on the instrumental, but he's definitely an artist that the music sometimes is like what you remember almost more than the specific stuff. But like the back half of this project, YG is proving himself as an incredibly talented MC, which obviously we've all known him to be that. And this project and the way it flows through the back half, it really makes me miss Nipsey.
Yeah.
Like those two being, you know what I mean, like making music together. I read Nipsey's book a couple months ago and him talking about YG and like the talent that's there and the real care for hip hop. And I had the same 2 notes about Drink to This and No Love, like interpolating Jay-Z and Pac. And it's not just like a West Coast thing. It's not just like it's a real like student of hip hop thing. And YG's at an age where it's similar to Drake, it's similar to Kendrick, it's similar to Cole, where they came up in an era where like before they were even rapping, when like the rappers that we consider like legends, that when we were learning about it, it's like these are the legends, they were starting to rap when they were at legend status. So it's like paying homage to them and taking influence from them in a way that's not, in a way that doesn't feel corny, and also in a way that really acknowledges the importance of those songs and those artists. Because we listen to a lot of music now, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like generations are going to pass, and I don't expect rappers younger than me and you at 24. You know what I mean? We have like 18-year-old. I don't expect an 18-year-old kid to be taking lines from the Blueprint
Yeah.
or Hit 'Em Up from 1996 and mixing them into there. If they do it, great, that's awesome. But YG, to hear him still like paying homage, and really like I was so impressed by the back half of this album. Like you, it's not that I went into it with no expectation. I expected a good album because it's YG and that's what he does. But I
Mhm.
was blown away
Yeah.
by the raps on the second half of this album and just how smart he is. Like using her on Go Dumb, like when her and YG have collabed before on Slide, like they make great music together, but understanding how to use Roddy Ricch and Post Malone, like
Yeah,
Roddy Ricch, obviously people are like, oh, he fell off, which is such a
it's
young man's take, in my
yeah,
opinion, where it's like,
casual take.
yeah, it's judging people based off like, oh, well, there was no the box on Live Life Fast, so it's not shit. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works. But like
Additionally, that's
understanding
not Roddy sound in the first place.
no, and understanding how to use Roddy Ricch where he can rap so well, but he's also really, really nice, like when he's like singing a little bit more. And honestly, I kind of was listening to it, and I'm thinking that Kid Leroy might be taking some like real influence from Roddy Ricch. I don't listen to Kid Leroy a lot, but like
Mhm.
what does like get through the noise to me sounds a lot like when Roddy Ricch like gets real high with his voice. And then I mean Post Malone, he's like such a polarizing artist at this point where he came up as one thing and now he's like this real soft spoken, like you know what I mean, like this gentle, like whatever, when it wasn't like that 4 or 5 years ago. But I think that YG did a good job just of understanding how to use an artist like Post Malone, because I think Post Malone is at his certainly at his best when it's melodic and it's not him trying to bend melody into like hip hop songs.
Yeah,
So I think this whole project really shows an understanding of YG as an artist from himself, but also understanding like where to put features and how to use those features. And the only issue I had with any feature on this was J. Cole saying that they put his clips on Sports Center like they're highlights. It's like, no, you're one of the biggest rappers in the world, like playing pro basketball. Like it's the only reason that they're using your clips on Sports Center, which is fine. Like that's
yeah.
great. It's really cool what you're doing. Like I've never, besides like Master P, I've never really seen someone go the opposite way. I've seen a lot of basketball players rap, but I've and very few rappers who like hit
Shout
33
out
and
Ron
34 and
Artest.
they're like, yeah, and then they're like, I'm gonna go play professional basketball on multiple continents. So it's like, but it's like that's why you're on Sports Center, Jermaine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can call you Jermaine, but
Jermaine, Cole,
yeah.
Jermaine. Anyway, I think I like everything that you said. I agree with. I think that it all lends to YG really took his time with this, and I think it just really shows from how every feature is utilized. I also appreciate one more thing I forgot. The use of "Be Happy" on "Toxic" by Mary J. Blige. That sample is amazing as well. I don't know how I forgot to say that, but beautiful use of that as well. Also, I think one song I do want to talk about is because it reminds me of one of YG's more underrated talents is I think it's his storytelling. How to Rob a Rapper is a really, really good, vivid, painted picture of I guess how to rob a rapper. Um, it kind of reminds me of songs off My Crazy Life, like Meet the Flockers and like tracks like that that also paint that picture of um people doing bad things, I guess, but like not incriminatingly if you see what I'm trying to say. But I really like that song. I also like the Mozzie and the D3 season feature as well. I think that that's probably aside from obviously my favorites, that's probably like the one song that I left out of my favorites that like I could probably easily include in there as well. Um yeah. Also, the background vocals on Alone, amazing as well. Just overall, it's a real production. You know, like everything hits the way it's supposed to hit, and you can see the intentionality behind it. And it just shows you once again why YG is in the same in the same boat, if not a tier lower than some of the modern 2010 legends that we have right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time I don't like to think of like music the same way I think of basketball because it's not the same, but like they're easy, especially when it comes to like artists being in the only time I ever really compare is in terms of like age. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? In terms of like when a rapper is like hitting 26, 27, like we saw with Vince, where he has a decade or close to a decade of experience now, where like basketball players come in at 18, 19, and by the time they're 26, 27, it's not just like the prime of their physical abilities, it's also like the mental side of things. And YG is like, past that point, but I like to the other area that I like to kind of compare the two is like when other artists talk about an artist in a very high way, I'm way more likely to not necessarily fall in line, but like do my research.
Yeah,
I'm much more likely to invest myself in that artist because if all their contemporaries, if all their peers are talking to them in such a high way, then obviously there's something there. Like it's similar when I mean you just hear it a lot. I mean like a lot of people have shouted out YG. They've gotten on songs with YG. I mean like it's Kendrick from LA. Drake's obviously been on music with him. You got Cole here like Nipsey was super close to YG, so it's like all this stuff. It's like, yeah, he is one of them. Like he's never going to be a member of that big three, and that big three is solidified. And I don't
yeah,
really think anyone will for this era. Drake, Cole, Kendrick, no one is touching those three, and it just solidified. Like that's been since we were juniors in high school,
yeah,
sophomores in high school that people
yeah,
have really felt like that. So it's never going to be like that. But he's a legend in his own right, and I think this project shows just his prowess and his prolificness and ability to really put these projects together and just be a staple in hip hop. And with a song like How to Rob a Rapper, I know that some people are going to be like, oh my god, because of like recent events with PNB Rock and then even going back to Pop Smoke. But it's like it goes back to YG being from there and understand it's like a different level of understanding. And it's not like so much of the music that we hear today, and there's nothing wrong with this, but where you hear these really vague, you know what I mean? It's not
yeah,
even stories, it's just like allusions to all this stuff. And that's fine. And like it's part of the music we love and the part of the music we listen to every day. But similar to like a Meek Mill's like Tony Story series, where it's like a real story. It's into it. It's not it's not like a 2 degrees outside of it. It is very much like in it. It reminds me a little bit of how Boldy James is rapping right now, where it's like no, here I'm not gonna say anything that will get
yeah.
me or anybody in trouble, but it's still gonna paint an actual picture, an actual story for you to take it.
Yeah, you might like this comparison. I'd say that while we have the big three solidified, I'd say if we're comparing it to the '08 Celtics, YG would be Rondo.
Yeah,
Very, very
yeah,
important, but his
that's a good
importance
point.
is overlooked sometimes in both scenario, Rondo scenario and YG scenario. But that being said, what are your favorite tracks?
I really like Issues, the opener. I really like Toxic. Uh, No Love, Drink to This, and No Weapon with
Yeah.
Nas.
Um, I'm gonna say How to Rob a Rapper, Toxic, and then Scared Money, No Love, Sober, Drink to This, No Weapon, and Alone.
Killer Cali is really beautiful too,
Yeah,
honestly.
it
Like
is.
him singing it and then like dropping back into the rap verses, that's really nice too. Which
Yeah,
a good
it's
it's a good way to end this project.
masterclass. Only way to describe it, really. Thank you for watching the Cat Podcast. This has been episode 321. Share your thoughts on YG's I Got Issues in the comments below. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Old Milk Media. Check out the Old Milk Sense plays on Spotify and YouTube. And check out all the Old Milk content on oldmilk.co. We will be back when hip hop tells us to be, which means next episode. So stick around for that. And we will see you on the other side. Thank you for watching. Oh, that was quiet. There you go.